1 year in the life of the emperor, the final age of the Unification Wars, 668 to 669 Miamen 30. For most of human history, the man who would become the emperor lived in shadow. But by the closing years of the Unification Wars, there was no shadow large enough to hide him anymore. Terra had been broken for millennia by war, mutation, famine, psychic horror, and techno-barbarian kings. Now most of the planet bowed to a single expanding power. High in the mountains of the old Himalayan region, a new imperial palace was rising above the ruins of the Age of Strife. This is not a literal diary. No complete record survives of every day the emperor lived during the Unification Wars. Instead, this is a reconstruction of one of the most important years of his life, roughly 668 to 669 30, built around events that are known to have happened. It begins with a war that is almost won. Almost. Terra is still not truly unified. Great kingdoms have fallen, alliances have been forced into compliance, and armies that once ruled continents have been destroyed, yet isolated powers remain strong enough to resist. One of them is Akkad, whose great king commands the Udaghol, Janaforged slave soldiers feared across the Upper Asiatic basin. The emperor has already spent generations creating weapons for this kind of enemy. First came the Thunder Warriors, the Legiones Contagious. They are enormous, brutally powerful, and almost perfectly suited to the short, savage wars of old Earth. They can break armies that ordinary humans cannot. But the Emperor knows something many of the Thunder Warriors themselves refuse to accept. They are temporary. Their bodies are unstable. Their enhancements can fail. Their minds can deteriorate. They were created to conquer Terra, not to survive a campaign across thousands of worlds. And beneath the mountains, another army is already waiting. The Emperor's work on what will become the Legiones Astartes has been underway for more than a century. These new warriors are not simply stronger soldiers. They are designed for endurance, organization, and mass deployment. They are a weapon made not for one planet, but for a galaxy. At the beginning of this year, the Emperor therefore lives two lives at once. Above ground, he is the conqueror of Terra, a radiant warlord surrounded by custodians, generals, diplomats, and the growing machinery of government. Beneath the mountains, he is still the scientist inspecting laboratories, genovaults, and the hidden projects that will determine humanity's future long after the last techno-barbarian fortress has fallen. Malkador the Sigillite handles much of the political architecture growing around him. Constantin Valdor commands the Custos and carries the Emperor's authority wherever brute force or absolute loyalty is required. Around them, administrators are turning conquest into government. The Emperor thinks further ahead than all of them. Terra is not the destination. It is the launch site. Every recovered factory matters because it can produce weapons. Every surviving engineer matters because the fleets of the future will need engines, armor, and voidcraft. Every gene laboratory matters because the armies that leave Terra must be replenished far beyond the world where they were born. Even the palace is more than a home. Construction has begun high in the Himalayan mountains. Upon ancient foundations associated with the Sigillites, it is becoming a fortress, a command center, a laboratory, and the political heart of a civilization that does not technically exist yet. Then comes Samarkand. In 668 30, the Emperor personally leads a force unlike anything Terra has yet seen. 10,000 warriors of the First Legion assemble for battle, supported by smaller contingents from 4 other nascent legions. They have no Primarchs standing at their head. The Primarchs are lost, scattered beyond Terra. So for now, the Emperor himself is their supreme commander. Across from them wait approximately 200,000 Udaghol. The numbers should favor Akkad. They do not. This is the first great public test of the Legiones Astartes as an army, not a handful of prototypes, not warriors hidden inside other imperial formations. A legion. The Emperor does not need to wonder what he has created for long. The battle lasts roughly 10 hours. By its end, the army of Akkad has been broken and the great king is dead. His elite gene-forged soldiers, once capable of halting imperial expansion, have failed against the new weapon that will define the next age. For the Emperor, Samarkand is more than another victory. It is proof. The Thunder Warriors conquered the nightmare kingdoms of Terra. The Astartes will conquer worlds. After the battle, celebrations spread through the imperial forces. Commanders see another enemy destroyed. Soldiers see proof that unity is approaching. The new legionaries see the beginning of their own legend, but the Emperor sees a transition. That may be what makes this year so cold. The Thunder Warriors are still alive. Some have served him for decades. They fought when the Imperium was nothing more than a dream in the mind of one warlord. They marched into the most contaminated ruins of old Earth. They fought psychic tyrants, genomonsters, and armies built from technologies no sane civilization would willingly recreate. They have earned glory, but glory is not the same thing as a future. The Emperor's decisions are rarely sentimental. He can value a warrior and still decide that warrior has no place in what comes next. He can remember a sacrifice and still erase the thing that made the sacrifice possible. That is the contradiction at the heart of this year. Humanity must survive. Everything else is negotiable. As the months pass, the Emperor's attention increasingly turns beyond the immediate wars of Terra. The warp storms that isolated humanity are changing. The stars will soon become reachable again. Luna waits overhead, with genocults and technologies that could transform the production of the Space Marine legions. The clock is moving. He cannot spend another century perfecting Terra. He needs armies that can leave it. Yet the old order does not disappear simply because a better weapon has been invented. Thunder Warriors still command loyalty among soldiers who fought beside them. Their names have become legends. Arik Taurinus, the Lightning Bearer, is remembered as one of the greatest of their kind, and the Emperor knows their condition is worsening. A Thunder Warrior can be stronger than an Astartes and still be less useful to the future. Strength means little if a body destroys itself. Ferocity means little if an army cannot remain stable over decades of interstellar campaigning. The Emperor does not need heroes who can win one last battle. He needs legions that can fight for centuries. Somewhere during this year, the decision becomes irreversible. The Thunder Warriors will not accompany humanity into the Great Crusade. What happens next is one of the darkest foundations of the Imperium. Imperial history will later tell a heroic story about Mount Ararat. The Thunder Warriors, it will claim, fought in the final great battle of unity and died securing the Emperor's victory. The surviving evidence tells a far more disturbing story. The Thunder Warriors were a cult. Later accounts describe the Emperor's own custodian guard taking part in their destruction. Other traditions implicate early Astartes. The exact sequence is deliberately obscured because the truth was never meant to become part of the public history of the Imperium. But the outcome is clear. The army that helped the Emperor conquer Terra is removed from his future. Imagine the Emperor in the days before Ararat. Valder does not need a speech about loyalty. His loyalty is absolute. He understands that the Emperor's plan exists on a scale larger than any individual army. Malkador understands something else. Empires survive not only through victory, but through the stories told about victory. The Thunder Warriors cannot simply disappear without explanation. So a legend will take the place of the truth. They will become martyrs of unity. Their destruction will become sacrifice, and the Imperium will move forward. This is not hypocrisy in the Emperor's mind. It is necessity. That distinction matters because the Emperor does not see himself as a tyrant collecting power for pleasure. Everything we know about his larger project suggests that conquest is a means to an end. He believes humanity is approaching a moment of existential danger and that only a unified species can survive it. The problem is what that belief allows him to justify. At Mount Ararat in 669 30, the age of the Thunder Warriors ends. There is no great celebration in the Emperor's private chambers that we know of. No surviving record tells us that he smiled, mourned, or regretted the order. The lore is silent, and that silence is important. So we should not invent remorse for him. We should not invent joy either. What we can say is that the Emperor continues. That may tell us more about him than either emotion would. Within a remarkably short span of history, the weapon that won Terra has been replaced by the weapon designed to win the galaxy. The First Legion has already demonstrated what 10,000 Astartes can accomplish. Other legions are growing. The foundations of the future imperial military are taking shape. The Custodes remain something different. They are not merely another army. They are the Emperor's companions, guardians, and agents, individually crafted to a standard neither Thunder Warrior nor ordinary Space Marine is meant to match. Where the legions are designed to expand, the Custodes remain close to the person and purpose of the Emperor. Baldor therefore survives the transition. The Thunder Warriors do not. By the end of this reconstructed year, Terra is still not completely pacified. The Unification Wars will not be formally declared over until decades later, and other enemies will continue to resist imperial rule. But something fundamental has changed. The question is no longer whether the Emperor can conquer Terra. The question is what he will do with it. In the laboratories beneath the mountains, the Astartes project continues. In the growing palace, the machinery of the new Imperium expands across conquered territories. Old loyalties are being replaced with a new identity based on unity and the imperial truth. Above them all, the Emperor looks toward the sky. Luna is close enough to see. Mars is close enough to reach. Beyond them are millions of human worlds that have spent thousands of years isolated from Terra. Some will welcome him. Some will resist him. Some will have become things he believes humanity can no longer tolerate. He intends to reach Olaf. That is what makes this single year so important. At its beginning, the Emperor is still primarily the greatest warlord on a ruined Earth. At its end, he possesses the prototype of the military machine that will become the Imperium of Man. Samarkand proves the future can fight. Ararat buries the past. And between those two events stands the Emperor, scientist, conqueror, architect, and executioner, making decisions whose consequences will echo for more than 10,000 years. The Thunder Warriors believed they were building unity. The Astartes would believe they are building an Imperium. The Primarchs, when they are finally found, will believe they are completing their father's dream. None of them yet understand how much that dream will demand from them. And perhaps that is the most important thing to understand about a year in the life of the Emperor during the Unification Wars. He does not live from battle to battle. He lives from age to age. To everyone around him, Samarkand is a victory. Ararat is an ending. The palace is a fortress. The Space Marines are soldiers, but to the Emperor, they are pieces of a future that only he believes he can see clearly. A future in which Terra is united. A future in which humanity returns to the stars. A future in which ignorance, division, and the powers of the warp no longer decide mankind's fate. He is willing to sacrifice armies to reach it. Soon, he will be willing to sacrifice worlds. And before his dream is finished, he will discover that even an immortal can misunderstand the future.